By every official metric, you're doing everything right. You've got the degree, you landed the job, and you've even seen a few raises. But if that's true, why does it feel like you're running a race on a treadmill that keeps getting faster? Why is it that no matter how many zeros are added to your paycheck, your bank account feels emptier than it did 5 years ago? The truth is, you aren't failing. You're being liquidated. You are a victim of a mathematical illusion designed to keep the middle class in a permanent state of survival. Today, we're going to look past the headlines and uncover the invisible forces systematically destroying your wealth. This isn't just a bad patch in the economy, it's a total redesign of how money works, and you weren't invited to the meeting. We are talking about the systematic death of the middle class.
Most people confuse nominal income with real income. When your boss gives you a 5% raise, you feel like a winner. You go home, tell your family, and maybe plan a small vacation. But here's the reality. If the cost of rent, groceries, and energy has climbed by 10%, you didn't get a raise. You got a 5% pay cut. This is the silent tax called inflation. While the government cheers for wage growth, they are measuring the size of the paper in your wallet, not what that paper can actually buy. In the 1970s, a single grocery bag cost a few dollars. Today, that same bag feels like a luxury purchase. You're working the same hours, perhaps more, for less bread, less fuel, and less future. You aren't getting ahead, you're just paying a premium to stay behind. The goal of the system isn't to make you poor overnight, it's to boil the frog slowly so you don't jump out of the pot.
It gets worse because of a phenomenon called bracket creep. This is the ultimate gotcha of the financial system. As inflation pushes your nominal salary higher, it pushes you into a higher tax bracket. Think about the genius of this. The government inflates the currency to pay off its own massive debts. This inflation makes everything more expensive, including your labor, so your number goes up. But because our tax system isn't fully indexed to real-world inflation, you suddenly find yourself in a tax bracket meant for the wealthy of 10 years ago. You are paying a higher percentage of your income to the state for the privilege of living through a cost of living crisis. You are literally being taxed on the loss of your own money's value. It's a double dip. Inflation steals your purchasing power, and the taxman steals what's left of the increase. To understand why the middle class is shrinking, you have to understand the Cantillon effect. When the central bank prints trillions of dollars, that money doesn't just appear in everyone's bank account simultaneously. It enters the system through the top, through big banks and government spending. The people closest to the money printer get to spend that new money before prices have risen. By the time that money trickles down to your paycheck, the inflation it caused has already jacked up the price of eggs, milk, and rent. You are essentially getting the leftovers of the currency's value. This is why Wall Street can hit record highs while Main Street is struggling to pay for gas. The system is designed to reward those who handle the money first and punish those who work for it last. When the gap between income and expenses becomes a canyon, most people reach for the only bridge available: credit. By the end of 2025, American credit card debt hit a staggering $1.28 trillion. But the media doesn't call this a crisis. They call it robust consumer spending. They want you to believe that the economy is strong because people are still buying iPhones and cars. But they aren't buying with earnings. They're buying with 22% interest rate plastic. This is the debt trap. The system encourages you to maintain your middle-class lifestyle through borrowing because a consumer in debt is a consumer who can't say no to their employer. Every time you swipe for a necessity, you are selling a piece of your future freedom. You aren't a consumer anymore. You've become a debt service machine for the financial elite. In the 1970s, a single income could buy a home, a car, and a future. Today, even a dual-income household of professionals struggles to afford a starter home. This isn't because we aren't building enough houses, it's because houses have stopped being shelter and have become speculative assets for institutional investors. When the system prints money, that money flows into assets. Real estate, stocks, and luxury goods skyrocket while your salary takes the stairs. This has created a generation of permanent renters. We've traded equity for subscriptions. You don't own your software, you don't own your music, and increasingly, you don't own your home. The middle class is being transformed into a neo-feudal class. You work in the city, but you pay a massive portion of your labor back to the lords who own the land and the capital. Why does the GDP still look good? It's Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Our leaders have optimized the metrics to hide the cracks. The unemployment rate. It counts you as employed if you worked 1 hour last week. It doesn't care if you're a PhD driving for DoorDash. The GDP. It counts government deficit spending as growth. If the government borrows $1 trillion to build a bridge to nowhere, the GDP goes up, but your life doesn't get better. The CPI. They constantly change the basket of goods to keep inflation looking lower than it feels at the checkout counter. We are managing the optics of a failing ship rather than fixing the hole in the hull. The most dangerous part of this trap is the psychological gaslighting. You are told that it's never been better, that technology makes everything cheaper, and that you should be grateful. This is designed to make you feel like your financial struggle is a personal failure rather than a systemic inevitability. They want you to accept a lower standard of living as the new normal. They want you to accept smaller apartments, fewer children, and no retirement as the way things are. But it wasn't always this way, and it doesn't have to be. The middle class was a historical anomaly that provided stability and freedom. By destroying it, the system is trading long-term stability for short-term profit. The middle class was never meant to be a permanent destination. Historically, it was a temporary buffer, a psychological and economic safety net designed to stabilize the system. But today, that buffer isn't just shrinking. It's evaporating in the heat of a deliberate devaluation. You are being squeezed in a giant vice, caught between stagnant real wages that have stayed flat for decades and soaring asset prices that are moving further out of reach every single day. Once you see this illusion, once you realize that the numbers on your screen are being manipulated to hide the loss of your time, you can't unsee it. You begin to realize that you can't win a game that's rigged against you by following the old rules. Saving paper in a bank is no longer a virtue. It's a slow leak in your financial ship. To survive, you must change how you play. It starts with the most powerful asset you own, your education and your perspective. You must stop saving in a currency that was designed to melt like ice in the sun. You must start understanding the fundamental difference between currency, which is a tool for trade, and wealth, which is a store of value and time. If you're feeling the squeeze at the gas pump, or if your local grocery store prices feel like a cruel joke, you are not alone. You aren't crazy, and you aren't failing. You are simply witnessing the curtain being pulled back. Drop a comment below and tell me, when was the exact moment you realized the new normal was a trap? Let's talk about the real economy, the one they don't show on the news, the one that affects your family's dinner table. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We aren't just here to watch the collapse, we're here to build a map through it. We're tearing down the curtain piece by piece until the mechanics of the system are bare for everyone to see. Remember, the only way out of a trap is to understand exactly how it was built. Your journey to financial sovereignty starts now. I'll see you in the next video.